y'all know. Oh, wow, no need to get the shot. You won't. Joe, picture me proud of you, please. In the Buffalo J.
Hi. You're probably wrong, but I don't think this one is yours. Thank you so much. So appreciate it.
So thank y'all so much, and we're super excited to have Marianne here today. She is our first Democratic presidential candidate to file here in South Carolina, so we're definitely excited about that. So I'm going to look over to accept her filing.
Please
I'm going to
do.
look it over, and everything does look in order, and we have received her filing fees online, and we're going to remit that total to the South Carolina Election Commission.
Great,
And I
thank
also
you.
wanted to commemorate your filing by giving you this authentic First in the Nation
Thank
mug.
you.
And with that, I will turn it over to Marianne to say a few words.
Thank you very, very much. When you file for such an important office, candidacy for such an important office, you feel the significance of this tradition of democracy. And I feel honored to be part of it. I also feel the significance of this particular election season. We're living in a time of real trauma, I think, for our country. And I feel very grateful to have the opportunity to offer to the American people what I think of as a real alternative, certainly to the agenda of the Republican Party in 2024, but I think even to the agenda that in too many ways dominates both parties. Should I take questions? Yeah, any questions?
Ms. Williamson, your campaign had $100,000 in cash on hand at the end of the third quarter. President Biden's campaign has $71 million. Why should we believe that your campaign isn't viable at this point?
Well, it's viable because I'm here. It's viable because I was at 16% on the Quinnipiac poll the other day in terms of Democratic-leaning voters. On the USA Today poll, I was at 11%, and on Emerson poll, I was at 10%. There are Republican candidates who have millions of dollars in the bank who aren't very close to me in terms of their polling numbers. Viable has to do with what the voters have to say. I'm not interested in the horse race, and I think the American people are not as interested in the horse race. And also, remember my popularity, I don't feel it's my personal popularity, but the popularity of my candidacy with young people. Because I can get to them on TikTok. It doesn't cost me anything. And also, let's not forget, one of the reasons why I don't have the same kind of money in my account as some of the other candidates do has to do with the fact that so much of the corporatized media, CNN, MSNBC, and others, have not had me on their news shows. I've been invisibilized, I've been erased, as it were, in pretty ridiculous ways. Once again, you have Republican candidates who poll quite a bit lower than me, who are regularly on the Sunday news shows, etc. And this is strategy. So then they say I'm not viable. They made it what it is, and yet we're still out there, and we're doing darn well in those polls, given those facts.
Why are you a good alternative to Joe Biden? What are the main things you stand for that some of your counterparts don't?
I think that Joe Biden is seeking to ameliorate the stress of the average American. I, however, am reminded of the words of Eleanor Roosevelt when she said to her husband, Franklin, the alleviation of stress is not enough. We need fundamental economic reform. What I see is a country where people's lives are falling apart. Look at the poverty rate here in South Carolina, including the child poverty rate. We have the highest child poverty rate, the highest poverty rate period of any advanced democracy. We're the only advanced democracy that does not have universal health care. The president said that he would veto Medicare for all. We're the only advanced democracy that does not have tuition-free college and tech school, which we had until the 70s. In every other advanced democracy, my agenda is considered moderate, subsidized child care, universal paid family leave, guaranteed sick pay, and guaranteed living wage. That is fundamental economic reform. I don't believe we're going to beat the Republicans in 2024 by these incremental changes. Bidenomics, for instance. If you are one of 20% of the top earners in the United States, you are doing very well, and that's to be celebrated. But that 20% live on an island surrounded by a vast sea of economic despair. And that is as true in South Carolina as anywhere else. Now, we're told, for instance, this is a perfect example. Here in South Carolina, when Representative Clyburn, of course, for whom I have great respect in many ways, said that we should all vote for Joe Biden. He said, among other reasons, that the Democrats halved child poverty rate. Yeah, they did it. They did it with a child tax credit. And when that child tax credit expired 6 months later, they did not permanentize it. So I'm sorry, I don't think that Joe Biden, with all due respect, has enough to brag about to the average American. His claiming that the economy is doing so well is contradictory to the visceral experience of the majority of Americans. I also believe that you have young people who are not interested, many of them, in voting for someone who approved the Willow Project. The president says he's the climate president. Now, it's true that in the Inflation Reduction Act, there are some very healthy green energy investments. However, all of them are nullified. The benefits of all of them are nullified by the fact that the president has actually given more oil drilling permits even than Trump did. He has approved the $8 billion Willow project, $8 billion ConocoPhillips oil extraction project on the north slopes of Alaska. And you put those two together, plus the defense budget, and U.S. defense establishment is the single largest institutional emitter of greenhouse gases on this planet, all of the effects of this climate presidency are nullified. Young people see this. Everywhere I go, I ask people, who in this room, in fact, I'll do it right now, is there anyone in this room who is either young or has heard a young person say the following words? Please raise your hand. And these words are, under normal circumstances, I'd be thinking of having children. But given the state of the planet, I don't think it would be a responsible thing to do. How many of you have either said those words or heard those words? This is not normal. So I believe for the Democrats in 2024, the danger is not Donald Trump. The Democrats can stop talking about this Donald Trump. People who love Donald Trump, even with his 91 indictments, and this is being reflected in the fact that he's beating the president right now in the polls. The people who love Donald Trump are going to vote for Donald Trump even if he's in prison. That's not the danger electorally to the Democrats in 2024. The danger is people staying home. The danger is not enough people feeling that we are offering an exciting alternative. Last time it was enough to say, be very afraid. And we should be very afraid of what the Republicans are offering. That's not going to be enough. This is going to be more like 2016 this time. This is not going to be like 2020. And too many of the people, to be honest, and I think that this includes in South Carolina, too many people who stood in line for 7 hours to vote for this president did not get codification of voting rights, did not get a higher minimum wage, did not get many of the things that they felt that they were promised. And that's why I feel that I'm the candidate who offers the kind of excitement that will get some people up and out and making sure that they vote for something different and a new beginning in the United States.
Voters in South Carolina on the fence, what would be the exciting alternative you would offer for them?
Well, I think that South Carolina, like many states in this country, is experiencing the effects of an economy that works for a few at the expense of the many. I want universal health care. I want tuition-free college and tech school. I want a complete eradication of the college loan debt. I want a guaranteed living wage. We have a minimum wage of $7.25. That is outrageous. We have 1/3 of America's workers who live on less than $15 an hour, and half of them cannot find a place to live. We have 1 in 4 Americans who live with medical debt. We have over 1 million people who are rationing their insulin. Many of the people I just mentioned live here. 42% of South Carolinians who are single-parent families, 42% living in poverty. And so we need to repeal that 2017 tax cut, $2 trillion tax cut, where 83 cents of every dollar went to the highest earners. We need an economic U-turn in this country. We need an economic new beginning, and that is what I offer.
You've been critical of the decision to move the first in the nation primary to South Carolina, and I know that you mentioned that you're here and it shows you're invested, but tomorrow I know that you're headed up to New Hampshire for a 5-day stint up there, and it's also the state where you have the best chance of being able to compete without fighting on the ballot. Do you think with the current resources you have right now, you'll be able to compete in both states and be competitive in this state?
Well, they're very different states. In terms of skipping New Hampshire and coming here, I know the narrative is that it has to do with racial diversity. I don't know one person in South Carolina who believes that. The wink wink is quite big. So the truth is, and people can see the truth, the president came in 5th in New Hampshire last time. And he's pretty assured to do fine here. So that's what that's about. Everyone knows it. The Democratic Party, the DNC, can strip me of the delegates, but they can't strip that primary of its significance. And I feel that Americans see the lack of alignment with democracy in all of this. So I'm going to be in New Hampshire, and the president is, there's a, write-in, campaign. All of this, everybody can see through all of this. In terms of here, there's quite a machine, and we all know that as well. So I'm not kidding myself. I would hope to get a fair shot. I would hope to be able to in any way compete with the president. I'm not. I'm not naive. On the other hand, I'm here today. And I believe that there are a lot of people in South Carolina who want to feel that there's an alternative that expands the conversation beyond the stale narratives that form our political status quo. Every time, vote for us. It's like a man who keeps cheating on you. Come on, baby, give me one more chance. At one point, the American people are going to say, no. We want to feel that we have a chance at something different. Now, let me also say, and certainly you know this, the role of the Democratic Party, of any political party, is supposed to be stand in the background and let the voters decide who the candidate is. And then the party is to come forward. The DNC has made it clear that, as they see it, they are here to support the president. They have tremendous power, tremendous political power, tremendous financial power. And I'm here. And hopefully I'll be able to reach some people in South Carolina. I'm grateful to you for being here. Hopefully I'll be able to reach some people. Some people will be able to hear me and see me. I can't control what the machine does. I can control, however, whether or not I offer to the American people, including here in South Carolina, an option that I feel is much more powerful alternative for actually defeating the Republicans, and even more importantly, for repairing the country. So if I can get any delegates at all, if that could happen, that would be a cool thing. And really, that's up to the people of South Carolina.
You've obviously run in this state before, back in 2020. I mean, do you intend to be on the ballot here in South Carolina in February? Will you be on the ballot? I know that. I know that. But obviously, in 2020, you weren't. So, do you plan?
Oh, you mean because I dropped out?
Right.
I'm here, listen, if the people are in it, I'm in it. If there's a dollar in the bank account, I'm in it. If the supporters are there, I'm in it. Let me tell you what we have. Yeah, I don't have, the president made a $15 million ad buy recently, with all due respect, and I do respect. I have standing ovations. I have some spirit and spunk, and people going like, what? There maybe is something new and different. We got that going on, and ultimately, I think that's actually more powerful than just money. I'm here, and I plan to be here.
Ms. Williamson, one of the reasons the Democratic Party moved South Carolina to first in the nation is a nod to African-American voters who make a big part of the voting bloc. Is it wrong to give African-American voters that first spot?
And listen, you'd have to ask an African-American voter what they feel about that, but I haven't heard an African-American voter say to me that they don't get what really went down here. And so, that's not, I think that the fact that no matter what your color, no matter what your ethnicity or culture, we get what the political situation is. As I said before, the president came in 5th in New Hampshire last time, and we all know he has South Carolina locked up.
Ms. Spain, you want to respond to any of that?
Pardon?
Pardon?
Ms. Spain, would you like to respond to any of that?
I'll respond to,
Why South Carolina was put first, and do you think it's the right decision?
I absolutely think it's the right decision. We're in a different point in our country, right? And so having a state that shows diversity within its voters is to be celebrated, not to be, I know there's so much, negative talk about South Carolina going first. South Carolina going first means that Southern voters go first, rural voters go first, and black voters go first. And that is the first time in this country's history that we've said, we want to hear your voices first. So as an African-American voter, I absolutely celebrate South Carolina being the first in the nation primary.
I think it's unfortunate that states, in this case New Hampshire and South Carolina, although I haven't heard people in New Hampshire and South Carolina holding it this way, I think it's unfortunate that anybody should feel pitted against anyone else for something like this. And it's the voice of the American people that matters. And I certainly honor what you just said, and I see the value in that for sure. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Is your primary winner take all, delegate-wise, or is it proportional?
Proportional.
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all so much for coming. And again, I'd like to thank Ms. Marianne for filing in South Carolina. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Good job.
Right.
Would anyone like stickers, palm cards, pens?
They're pressed. I don't think that they're